Hello and welcome to another episode of Dana Does. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And for this, I'll be using the Rubik's Coach Cube, which you can get from Rubiks, and it's a great product for learning how to solve a cube for the first time. I'll be following this instruction guide and trying to give some tips and tricks along the way. Additionally, there's also a free solution guide on the Rubik's website. So let's get into some notation which you'll need to understand before actually getting into how to solve it. As you can see, the cube is 3 layers by 3 layers by 3 layers, and we can notate it as the bottom layer, the middle layer, and the top layer. And there are 3 types of pieces. The first type is a centerpiece, which is a piece that has one color. So the one with the number 1 here, this 2, this 2, this 2. Edge pieces are any piece that have 2 stickers on them. So something like this piece, or this piece here. And the final one is the corner pieces that have 3 stickers on them, which is something like this, or this here. How notation works is that we use 6 letters to denote the 6 faces. So F for front, U for up, R for right, L for left, D for down, and B for back. And the way that you can tell if it goes to this direction or this direction is that the standard direction, so U, is as if you were looking at the U face, turning it clockwise. So U would be this. And the other direction is called U prime. So this is U prime. And then we have F, F prime, R, R prime, L, L prime, D, D prime. And this one's a little tricky, but B, B prime. We also have double moves. So instead of something like R or R prime, R2 is turning the right layer twice, U2 is turning the upper layer twice, and so on and so forth. Step 1 is the daisy, and it's called a daisy because it sort of looks like a flower here. And the daisy involves this yellow center being surrounded by 4 white edges. The goal here is to one by one get all of the white edges to match up with the yellow center. So we want them all to be like this. And there are a couple situations that you can be in. One is if that the white piece is here, you can bring it up like so. Another is if the white piece is here, you can bring it up like so. Another is if the white piece is with the yellow but on the wrong side, you can do F, U prime, R. Another case is if you have it here in relation to the yellow center, you can do F prime, U prime, R. And lastly, if you have it on the opposite side of the yellow, you can just go like this. And with all of those cases, you should be able to get all 4 edges right next to the yellow center, thus completing the daisy. The second step is going to be the white cross, in which the white center, the corresponding edges are solved, as well as the other edge color with the white edges and their corresponding center. So here, blue edge, blue center, orange edge, orange center, and so on and so forth. So this is the white cross. So from your daisy being solved, you're going to hold white on bottom and yellow on top, and you're going to rotate this top layer, starting with whatever edge is in front, so that the edge matches with the center, and then you're going to do F2. And you'll notice that puts it between the correct centers. Next, you move on to the next edge, so in this case, orange, and again, F2. Here happens to already be in place, F2. And the last one, line it up with the green center and do an F2. So that should get you your white cross. Step 3 is the white corners, in which you will have the entire white face solved, as well as these corresponding little T shapes on every side. So here, blue, and here, orange. I'm also going to introduce 2 trigger moves, which are just a sequence of moves that achieve one thing. So in this case, when I say right trigger, I mean to do R, U, R prime. And when I say left trigger, I mean L prime, U prime, L. So to start off this step, we're going to hold yellow on top, white on bottom, and we're going to look for corners in the top layer that have white on them. So for example, this one is white, red, and blue. So I'm going to put it between the red and blue centers, like so. And I'm going to hold it so that the white corner is not in front. In this case, where it's between the blue and red and the white is facing to the right, we're going to do a right trigger. So remember, white, right, right trigger. R, U, R prime. Now let's look at this corner. This is white, orange, blue. So we're going to turn it until it's between the orange and blue centers and hold white so that's not in the front. In this case, since it's facing left, we're going to do a left trigger. L prime, U prime, L. Now, there are 2 more cases. One is when, let's say for this one, we have green and red. So we put it between the green and red centers, and we don't want it on front. It's on top. So in this case, we're going to do the right trigger twice. R, U, R prime, R, U, R prime. And that's going to put it here so that you can do the right trigger again. R, U, R prime. The last scenario is if there are no white corners on top and there are white corners in the bottom, not in the right location or not oriented correctly. So not in the right location would be something like this corner, and not permuted correctly would be something like this corner where it's in the right spot, but it's rotated incorrectly. In either of these cases, what you're going to want to do is take the corner out. So let's say I want to solve this red-green one, and you can do so by doing, if it's on the right side, doing a right trigger, and now you'll notice that it's over here. I can put it between the green and red, hold it not front, so it's left, left trigger. And for this one, it's in the right spot, just rotate it incorrectly. So same thing, you can do right trigger, and then now you'll see you have the case from earlier where it's on top. So you can do right trigger twice, and then it's this case where you just do right trigger again. And after that, you should have the whole first layer done, and all of these centers should match. Step 4 is the middle layer, in which you'll end up with the first 2 layers solved, like so. For this step, we're going to continue holding the cube so that yellow is on top and white is on bottom, and you're going to look for edges in the top layer that do not have yellow. So in this case, we have green-orange, blue-red. What you're going to do is you're going to take the front-facing edge and align it with the center of color. So in this case, you want to line this up with the green one, and in this case, you want to line it up with the blue center. So let's stick to this one. So what you're going to notice is that since this is green-orange, this edge is going to want to move to the right side. So in this case, what you're going to want to do is, the way I remembered, is you turn it away from where it needs to go. So it needs to go here, so move it here. Do a right trigger, do a U prime, turn the cube left, and then do a left trigger. And you'll see that puts the edge where it needs to go. Let's pick the next edge. So this one is red-blue. This one needs to go to the left. So if it needs to go to the left, you're going to do U prime, so taking it away from where it needs to go. Left trigger, U, turn the cube, and then right trigger, as so. There are 2 more, so let's do this one here. It needs to go to the right. U, right trigger, U prime, rotate the cube, left trigger. And this one here needs to go to the right. So U, right trigger, U prime, turn the cube, and then left trigger. You might also run into the case where you're not done the first 2 layers, but there are no edges on the top that don't have yellow on them. And in this case, what you're going to do is you're just going to take one of these random yellow edges and insert it into one of the slots that's not solved. So in this case, we're going to insert this edge here. So this edge goes to the right. So U, right trigger, U prime, turn the cube, left trigger. And you'll notice that takes this piece out into the top layer, and you can solve this edge. So it needs to go left. So U prime, left trigger, U, rotate the cube, and then right trigger. And lastly, for this case, this edge needs to go to the left, U prime, left trigger, U, turn the cube, right trigger. And after that, you'll have the first 2 layers of the Rubik's Cube done. Only 1 more to go. Step 5 is the yellow cross, in which you'll have the first 2 layers done and the yellow cross on the top done. The easiest situation is if you get to the step and the yellow cross happens to be done. Unfortunately, that's not always the case, and let's run through the 3 other cases. One case is that you have a bar here, and in this case, you're going to do this algorithm. F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime, and that'll give you the cross. Additionally, you could get this little L-shaped here. If you get this, you're going to hold it in the back left, and you're going to do F, U, R, U prime, R prime, F prime. The last case is if you have no yellow on top. In this case, you're going to do either of the first 2 algorithms. So in this case, I'll just pick the first one, F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. And you'll notice that gives you one of the other 2 cases. So the little L is hold it back left, and F, U, R, U prime, R prime, F prime. And that's step 5, the yellow cross. Step 6 is the yellow face. So in this step, you'll have the entire yellow face done, and the first 2 layers are still done. The only algorithm that you're going to need for this step, and I'm going to call it the yellow corners algorithm, is right trigger, U, R, U2, R prime. You may have to do this algorithm multiple times to solve the yellow face, but there are a few rules to follow. Firstly, if your top layer has no yellow corners facing up, hold it so that you have a yellow tile here on the front left before you do the algorithm. If there are 2 yellow corners on top, you want to hold one of the non-top yellow corners towards you. So in this case, you can face this corner towards you before you do the algorithm. So right trigger, U, R, U2, R prime. Lastly, if you have the case where there's 1 yellow corner facing up, hold the cube so that the corner tile is in the front left, and then do the algorithm. Right trigger, U, R, U2, R prime. And you'll see we get it again. So we hold it in the front left and do the algorithm again. And that solves the yellow face. Step 7 is the yellow corners, in which the yellow corners will be permuted correctly. So that means that they will line up with their corresponding centers. In this case, this green, this orange match, this green, red, so on and so forth. There are going to be 3 cases for this one. The first one is if the corners happen to be solved, in which case you can skip this step. The second case is if you look on all the sides and there are 2 of the same color on one side. In that case, hold it in the back and then hold it so that white is facing you. And you're going to do R prime, U, R prime, D2, R, U prime, R prime, D2, R2. And then you'll see that if you just rotate the top layer, the yellow corners will be solved. The other case is if you notice that none of the sides have 2 of the same color. For this case, pretend that these 2 have the same color and do the algorithm I just showed. So hold them in the back, hold here, and do the algorithm again. R prime, U, R prime, D2, R, U prime, R prime, D2, R2. And you'll notice that you'll end up with 2 on the same side here. So then you're actually going to do the algorithm from before. So 2 in the back here, hold it like so. R prime, U, R prime, D2, R, U prime, R prime, D2, R2. And after rotating the centers, that will solve the yellow corners. The last step is the yellow edges, in which case the entire cube will end up solved. If you get to this step and the edges happen to be solved, congratulations, you've just solved your first Rubik's Cube. Otherwise, we'll have to do a little bit more work. In the top, look for any side that has a bar of 3 like so. In this case, you're going to hold it in the back, yellow on top, white on bottom, and you're going to do this algorithm. F2, U, L, R prime, F2, L prime, R, U, F2. And in this case, that has solved the puzzle. You might have to do it twice, so example for this one, bar here, hold it in the back, do the algorithm again, and you'll do it one more time. F2, U, L, R prime, F2, L prime, R, U, F2. Now you might run into the case where none of the sides have a bar of 3. In this case, you can hold any color in the back, and as long as yellow is on top, do the algorithm I showed before, and you will end up with a bar. And in that case, do the algorithm once or twice to solve the puzzle. And congratulations, you solved your first Rubik's Cube. I hope you found this puzzle challenging and interesting, and congratulations on solving it for the first time. That being said, this was an episode of Dana Does, and thank you for watching.